Page 34, Tractate Psachim. We're going now to a very beautiful daf, but I would like to share with you first several definitions. First definition is the concept of consecrated property. Consecrated property in general, we understand if someone decided this item is going to belong to some sacred purposes. My father, God bless him, for many more years of good health, he wrote a book many years ago. If I'm not mistaken, it was the time that I was born. The book called Sugiyot Bekodashim, and that book is basically filled with halachot in regards to this subject. So I called him this morning and I just discussed with him some point, and he suggested that we should give some definitions to make sure that we are clear in this manner. So first is the definition of kodashim. Kodashim meaning consecrated property. And if we zoom in a consecrated property, we need to know that there are different categories of consecrated property. An example, if something was consecrated, set aside, that it's a kadosh, it's sacred, and something happened and make it in a state of impure, then we are enter the domain of uncertainty, what to do with that. There are certain items that can be, in a simple language, repurified. There are certain subjects that cannot be repurified. Some examples. Let's say if something was uprooted from the ground. You take a produce, you consecrate it for certain holy purposes, it's uprooted, and then it touched something that is impure, and then you can put it back and plant it in the ground, and by doing so is the same as you duck someone in a mikveh. Meaning, and now we're going to another definition. The next one is called yadayim askaniyot, which means the rabbis put a special decree that we need to wash our hands constantly. Can anyone give me an example? When do we need to wash hands more than once? Yes, Gilbert?
Before we eat, when we just wake up.
When we wake up, what else? We're dealing here with Tractate Psachim. Bathroom. Now we're doing the Tractate Psachim. Give me an example of Passover. We wash twice.
Wash
in doing the meal. Excellent,
parts
David.
of the Seder.
Doing the Seder. On the Seder we do Kadesh Urchatz. You did the Kiddush, and now you wash your hands. Why are you washing hands? Soon we explain, because there are certain issues with the hands. There is a concept that I would say it's a must for us to remember. It's called Hesech Hada'at, which means you are not focusing. The rabbis tells us that the hands go around not always with the brain. We're not always focusing on what we are doing. The moment that happens, the rabbi says a concern that the hands can touch something that it's not necessarily pure. So if you take the Seder, you wash your hands before Karpas, and then, okay, Yachatz, Magid, boom, again, Rachza. Why you need to wash hands again? Because again, you maybe touch something doing the Magid. So the whole point is Yadayim Askaniyot, the hands are constantly occupied with many things, and as a result, you need to be aware and wash hands constantly. That's the decree of the rabbis. So back to our subject. If you have a situation that the water, it was the time of the festival of Sukkot, they used to do Nisuch HaMayim. Anyone heard about it? In the Beit HaMikdash, soon it will be rebuilt, and you are a Kohen, so you should know that they did it every morning in one Mizbeach, but they did it in particular in a Chag HaSukkot. They used to have a special ceremony that they took the water and pure it. It's called nisuch hamayim. They put the water on the altar in a certain way. But sometimes it happened that on the process you prepare the water and you leave it overnight, you cover it, you come in the morning and boom, there is creeping animal, small one, inside the water. So you have a way to purify it by going to the Shiloach river. It was a special spring river close to the Beit HaMikdash. They used to go there, and they used to, by doing so, you combine the water, and it's the same manner as someone who's dug himself or herself in a mikveh, in the ritual bath, that combine with the rainy water, and by doing so, you purify the items. So you have a different category of purification. Some works, some not. So now we see the next definition. The next one is called ma'ala b'kodashim, which means since we are talking about the consecrated items, there are certain situations that cannot be purified. What does that mean? The Torah tells us in the book of Exodus, in the book of Shemot, that the Kohen, if you remember we studied in Tractate Shabbat, the Kohen, the high priest, carry a special tzitz, a special hat like hood, and they have the name of Hashem, the full read name of Hashem. This is a different version how. And they're bringing the offering by carrying that, the tzitz meratzeh, that tzitz, that head, purified the offering. But if it was an issue that the offering was not, in a sense, clear, pure, we're not sure if it's pure or not pure, it's an issue that the tzitz not always purified. In general, very general, the Rambam said that it's the minutes that you have the tzitz, it's over, it's purified. Now, when it's come to ma'ala b'kodashim, here is a problem. You remember we said that if you have a produce that you contributed to the sacred, consecrated items, and now what we explained, that you take this part and if you touch a creeping animal, how you purified it? You remember what we said? You need to do what? Replant it. You put it back in the ground, you replanted it in the ground, and by doing so, what happened? It's go back in the process and purified it. Okay? Yet, as far as making it now again truma, that cannot happen. Cannot happen because there is concept that's called ma'ala b'kodashim, that we treated the Beit HaMikdash the same applied to the water, that the certain sanctity, it's such a great honor to Beit HaMikdash that cannot apply. So with those definitions we can go further and start understanding this sugya, because here they have an Amoraic discussion in regards to a ritually impure truma, and we derive from that many other halachot. So remember always, if someone asks you what's the practicality of our study beside of learning Torah, it's we have at the very end a practical halachot. So for example, we talked yesterday about a grape. You remember what we explained about grape? That the grape, there are two different entities. You remember that? That the grape, there is one. Can someone explain for those who just came in, what's the difference in the grape? Dave, can you do that?
The juice and the juice is separate from the rest of the meat of the fruit.
Excellent. Which and means, so, in the conclusion, we call it mifrak perikei.
So you can have a grape that is tamei, because impure, and when the juice that you squeeze out of that grape can be pure.
Excellent. Excellent. So in other words, follow what David said beautifully, that's called mifrak perikei. We explained yesterday that the grape, as far as halacha, it's one entity, and the liquid that come out is a different entity. So if the grape itself become impure, it's not affected the liquid that coming out the grape. Versus we said when it's come to a loaf of bread, even you touch one side, it can apply to the entire loaf of bread. You remember yesterday we explained?
Right, and that's derived from I guess we studied earlier about vessels and how whether they
that's part
transmit
of that.
Impurity to to a liquid, a beverage inside.
Yes, that's part of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially,
now
I guess essentially they're saying the grape is like a container. It's like a vessel almost.
Yes, that's me for
and so even though the vessel is impure, it doesn't impart impurity onto the beverage that's in it.
Yesterday. So now we're going to page 34, top of the page. 34, 8 lines from the top of the page. Abai barabim v'Rav Chanan barabim tanu trumot beirava. Pag-aaral avad matna. So they study in that yeshiva halachot in regards to contribution, trumot, and they have ben azmanim, they have the time in between. It was a large yeshiva, it's a large center of Jewish study. The Talmud said in Tractate Bava Metzia, page 86, that it was a city called Pumbedita, and the study, it was a center of study, so they have ben azmanim, they have a time in between, and they discuss the matter. So he asked, what do you learn? Something special. Amar lehu, מה ימריתו בתרומות דבעיריו? אמר לו, מה יקש שלך? So, אמר לו תנן. So he said, here I give you an example of something that I'm bothered, and I'm interested, since you study this tractate, I want to hear what a great man like Rabbah taught you. It was the Rosh Yeshiva in Pumbedita. So we learn in the Mishnah in Trumot, chapter 9, Mishnah 7, שתילי תרומות שנטמעו ושתלן טהורים מלטמא. So if you have, for example, let's say a radish, or you have any other produce that attached to the ground, and they someone dedicated them to Beit HaMikdash before he detached them, before he cut them to take them out. Okay, so now they become ritually impure. What's the first option? You remember we studied it? The first one is sreifa, to burn it. But let's say he doesn't want to burn it, so what did he do? So he replanted in the ground. So what we said? He said the same way as the mikveh can purify someone who is impure. By what? By putting in the water. So here, by replanting that in the ground, it purified that one. Okay? The Torah said in the book of בעיקר, chapter 11, זרע זרוע אשר יזרע טהור הוא. If something was planted and it was attached, and then he put it back, so the moment you put it back is purified. However, listen carefully, ואסורים לאכול בתרומה. So he cannot use it for the truma. So they said, וכי מאחר לטהורים מלטמא, המה אסורים לאכול? If you tell me that it's now pure, again, let's review it to make sure that we all understand. We have something that was planted in the ground, this produce. Okay? This one was contributed for the Kohanim. And then he detached it. Now he touched something like creeping animal. What did he do now? He replanted in the ground. Now he again detached it. You said, wait a second, they cannot use it for the Kohanim, Rashi said, because it's impure. He said, wait a second, you just told me that if I replanted it, I can use it, right? It's a good question, and the Rosh Yeshiva in Pumbedita, Rabbah, tells us as follows: "My asurin, asurin lezarim." What does that mean? There is a concept in Beit HaMikdash that is called zar. What is zar? Zar can be anyone that is not Kohen. That Kohen has a special he allow.
Anyone is not allowed to eat truma.
Yes, so truma, even is tehora, even is pure, it's still forbidden for eating for someone who's not a Kohen. That's what we mean. So he said, what we derive from that? So he said, gidulei truma, truma. So it means, people will say, guess what? why I need to bring tithe to the Kohanim? Why I need to borrow that? I have a tithe. Now, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to detach it, okay? And basically now I need to give it to the Kohen. Guess what I'm going to do? Nothing to do with Tuma. I'm going to replant it. And then, since I replanted, I'm not going to give it to Kohanim anymore. Again, you understand the shtick?
Can't do that.
Right. That's what people are thinking. Everybody understand what's going on? Mm-hmm. So then the Kohanim will lose a very serious income. Mm-hmm. They'll lose the ability. Remember, the Kohanim has no property, so they depend on us. So if this guy is a wise guy, he said, let me go the process. I cutting it out. I dedicated the Kohanim. They are replanted. Now I don't need to give it because I already basically dedicated. So the rabbis came in and they said, oh, wait a second, we're not allowed to do that. Like Hillel used the Prusbul. Remember the Prusbul we said with Hillel? That people will not circumvent the system by doing all kind of shticks. He says it's not going to be. Tanina, Gidulei Truma, Truma. What does that mean, Gidulei Truma, Truma? Now you explain to me. What is the decree the rabbi said? So if you follow Torah law,
the new growth on Truma
right?
is itself Truma.
Yes. Okay. V'chi teima. And if you understand Gidulin. So Rashi said that anything, if you have all those how do you call it, cover leaf, when you have what is called a chasa. How do you say in English chasa?
Clover leaf.
Chasa, the green one that have many. Lettuce. Thank you. So if you have the round, how do you call this? Romanian round lettuce. Romanian lettuce. So imagine Romanian lettuce. You have many lettuce, many layers of lettuce. So Rashi said that's called gidulim. That's coming out, growth. Tosfot said if you have one onion, and that one onion created many more onions, so that's considering gidulim, onion that created many more. So I said, Umayka mashmelan. So what we derive from that? Bedavar she'ein zar'o kol kaleh. So if, what we understand, so if for example you have an onion, you plant it in the ground, what happened after you plant it in the ground? It's bringing growth more and more. So it can be even 4, even 6 new onions that comes out. So this original one is not disappearance. It created others, but he himself is there. So that's called, according to Rashi, according to Meiri, it's called gidulim. Coming out. But the original, it's producing. That's the Meiri said that that's the way they used to do it. Anyway. Now, so Hana Meitanina. So we learn in different Mishnah. It's very close over there in Mishnah 6. It says Hatevel Gidulav Mutarin. When the Tevel, it's what do you say in your Gemarrah? What do they say in English? What is the Tevel? Tevel in general, is a produce that completed by that you have to bring a tie. What is the Gemarrah explain Tevel? So anyway, in a simple way, it's something that Meruach HaKeri, that you need to bring a tithe. I don't know how to say Meruach HaKeri in English, but basically it's you take this part and you put it you need to bring Truma to Masrot. You need to bring yes.
It says that Tevel is the legal designation for produce that has undergone Meruach, the smoothing of a pile of grain that completes the harvesting process but has not yet been tied.
Excellent. So the smoothing part of the harvesting,
the
right?
smoothing of the pile of grain that completes the harvesting process.
That's Meruach HaKri. Okay, thank you. So what happened is, we said that all the gidulav, all the thing that coming out, we're allowed to use. So what's that apply? Listen carefully. Bedavar shezar'o kaleh. אבל בדבר שאין זרעו קלה, אפילו גידולי גידולים אסורים באכילה. It says, you remember what we talked just a moment ago about the onion? The onion, he remains and produces 4 or 6 more, and he himself can reproduce. But there are certain produce that you planted in the ground, goodbye. It's done. In other words, it produced, but can be only one time. So there is a side note, there is a book I want to mention for those who are a little advanced and watching us. There is a book called Itvan Deoraita. And he has a very big hakira in Sugiyat Breira. Sugiyat Breira meaning if it's we know that it's a retroactive designation or not. So he said, since the tevel, it's something that it's yetzira בפועל, that it happened, so it's separate yetzira בפני עצמה, it's separate entities. So he ask if we treat it as the chulin and truma combined together or not, if we hold it it's a retroactive designation or not. I'm not going there, I'm just saying for those who wants to go further with that, there is a discussion, long one. So here, back to our subject, we learn this truma in the kal vachomer. How we learn it? Because truma we hold much stringence than the tevel. Why? Because the tevel, what we said, that the planted it disappear. So therefore, if it disappear, it's considered as non-consecrated teruma. So he said, why we need 2 Mishnayot to explain to us all this. So the only way to understand it is to say, as we said earlier, to teach us that someone who is not a Kohen, Zar, is forbidden. In that process, if that process took place, is forbidden. So here he asked him such a question, so ishtiku. They display equanimity, which means they acquiesce, they have no response to him. Amule midish mi alach be'ah. Oh, you ask us such a question. Do you have any answer to that? Amar lehu hache amar Rav Sheshet. This is what Rav Sheshet said. My asurim. What does that mean? Prohibited. Asurim la kohanim, that even the kohanim, the priests, are forbidden to eat it. Why? Ho'il ve'ipsilulu be'sechadat. Okay, what we said in the definition earlier, what is a sechadat? A sechadat meaning that your brain is not always there. That you're not focusing all the time. So the minute you're not 100% focusing, there is the issue when it comes to Kedusha. As you know, one of the things that in the ancient time, the fear of being a Kohen or high priest, the Kohen Gadol, was if he's not focusing, especially in the Holy of Holies, boom, goodbye. You need to be alert all the time. So here, if it's not watched from being touched to something that is ritually impure, because what happened here to the Kohen? This plant become impure, and he basically did not watch over from being pure, so therefore the Kohanim cannot go ahead and use it. Soon you see how important it is. הניחא למאן דאמר היסח הדעת פסול הגוף אבי שפיר, למאן דאמר היסח הדעת פסול תרומה אבי, מה יקרא למימה? דאיתמר היסח הדעת, רבי יוחנן אמר פסול טומאה אבי, ורבי שמעון בן לקיש אמר פסול הגוף אבי. רבי יוחנן אמר פסול טומאה ואם יבוא אליהו ויטהרנה, שומעים לו. רבי שמעון בן לקיש אומר פסול הגוף ואם יבוא אליהו ויטהרנה, אין שומעים לו. Beautiful. Okay. Some definition. First one, let's understand the tumat yadayim. What is the tumat yadayim? The ritual impurity that the sages instituted over hand, which means since the hands, yadayim askaniyot, the hands are constantly busy, and a person lo shomer, he's not guarding, he's not in control of the hands. For example, remember that JV just said about Pesach, Kadesh, Urchatz, Karpas, and then we have the washing hands, right? Magid, Rachza, and we have again washing hands, it's all because hesech hadat. What is a hesech hadat? That it's not always you guarding, you watching your hands, or not all the times. Now, the Torah said, Et mishmeret trumatai. What does that mean? That Hashem wants us to guard over ritual impurity. So, for example, if you have something that is a truma, and the Kohen needs to use the bathroom, now what happened? He needs to lock it in some place. Now, if the Kohen did not lock something that is truma, what happened here? It's called hesech hadat. Again, hesech hadat meaning again and again. It means that the Kohen received a truma. He is now thinking about Yankee games, and he went to the bathroom, right? And he didn't lock the truma. I'm joking. We are not against or for anything. So he now forget about truma. So what he should do? He needs to lock. He needs to lock the truma in order to avoid any desecration of that truma. It's sanctified. Okay. If he didn't lock it, he has now, which we call hesech hadat. He's focusing his brain. Wasn't there. So now it's pasul. It's invalid. So now there is a controversy here disputation between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan said that if you're not sure, let's say you're not sure if this truma touched something that is impure or not. Rabbi Yochanan came and said, look, if Eliyahu Hanavi will come tomorrow, and we believe that he will come very soon, right? And he looked at the truma and what did he said? It's fine. So what happened now? This truma is going to be what? Pure.
Right.
Why? Because a moment ago you're not sure. Now Eliyahu Hanavi came and told you it's fine. He revealed everything. So the truma is pure. Fine. Reish Lakish came in and he said there is a concept called psul haguf, which means, listen carefully. Let's say you go to England. You know, in England we have this all these guards that holding this what is called flag. I don't know what it's called. They hold it and they stand at the queen guard, the princess guard for hours. They hold that even in the freezing cold. You know, and they don't move. What is called that? Sword? I don't know if it's sword. It's like a stick, large stick, whatever it is.
It's a spear. It has a
spear, whatever it is. They hold that for hours and hours and hours. They don't move, right? They hold it at a long time. Now imagine what happened. Someone fall asleep, right? So now what happened?
Somebody sleeps.
You put it, yeah, right? So what did you do? You bring him to court, right? Now the guy said, what are you going to charge me for? Oh, we're going to charge you the same as a guy at the midst of the war. He was guarding an arm base and he fell asleep. He says, what's wrong with you? I never use ammunition, never use any gun. I only hold this stick for many hours. What, you treated me like someone who's in the midst of a war with the guns? And I never use guns. What do you answer? The judge will say, I'm sorry, you are in violation and you have to be on guard, and even looks like a boring job for hours to hold this, whatever it's called, the stick or the spear or whatever it is.
Lance.
You, what?
Lance.
Lance, thank you.
Yep.
So for us, it makes no difference if you are in Afghanistan and you serve in the Rangers, right? And you watch over the arm base and you fall asleep and we caught you, or you're standing on the queen and holding this lance. Makes no difference. Now you explain to me why it's no difference.
Well, they're still supposed to follow the same rules. I mean, they're
the same rules.
I mean, whether it happens to, I mean, they're still responsible for guarding the king or the queen. I mean, that's...
Excellent.
Okay.
So we treated a person that need to guard the king or the queen, even that person never know how to use gun, and never use gun, never touch gun, the same way as a person who is a very erudite in ammunition, standing on the high risk place in, who knows, Syria now, whatever it is, Afghanistan. Okay? Now think about Kodashim. Something that is consecrated for the Beit HaMikdash. It's very holy, it's the Holy of Holies, right? Very holy. Has to have a certain process of guarding. You have to guard it all the time. It's consecrated. It's not just another item. You have now Hesech Hadat. Your brain is not there. You fall asleep while you're holding this lens. Mm-hmm. So what do? You Kohen, for example, you pasalta, you make it invalid. That's the whole concept of guarding, din shmira. So now, if you go by the Rabbi Yochanan, the Rabbi Yochanan tell you that if something is tihur tum'ah, for example, you take something that is chulin, is non-consecrated, and you replant it in the ground, so what happened here? It's become pure. However, when it's come to a Kohen, the Kohen cannot eat it. Why? Because since it's already one time become pigul, become something that it's invalid, boom, it's over. Example. I see some of your faces, so let me give you an example. Let's say someone is mamzer. Everybody knows what mamzer. It's not legitimate child. Okay. That mamzer touch a creeping animal. He go to the mikveh and he purified himself. Okay. Now he's tahor. He's pure. Can he go ahead and marry Bat Israel? The answer is no. Why? He's pure.
Yeah, he's still mamzer.
He's still mamzer. Excellent. So now we understand here. The same apply to the tumah. So because it's called psul haguf, because the entity himself has an issue, one time become impure, that produce touch a creeping animal, boom, the Kohen pasul ma'achila, can no longer eat it. Mm-hmm. That's the idea of holding that in a sanctity.
So even if the truma is even if he replanted the item,
that's the point. Yes, even replanted. Yes, you go by the Reish Lakish. He said it's over. As far as the Kohen is concerned, it's over.
Yeah. And how do you tie that into the watching of the truma with the Kohen?
He has to watch all the time, or you need to lock it.
The second he doesn't watch, then it's a problem.
The second the Kohen doesn't watch.
Doesn't watch,
it's a problem.
That's another category.
Who knows what happened during that second he turned away?
Yes, good. I remember
fly into the water.
When I was in the service, Gilbert will tell you, when I was in the service, I start in the early stage in the service. We are in a place called Sanur. Sanur is in those days the Israeli paratroopers place that they trained. So it was a freezing winter, and one of our soldiers, he a little bit nap on one of those tower guard. And one of those officers was so sneaky, he somehow get on the top of guard without that soldiers catching him. And he caught him napping. And remember, in those days we slept almost very little in those nights. So by us, it was a rule. In a paratrooper, the minute that happened, you not go home for like a couple of weeks. Next time you're out of that unit. But later, they make another rule in those days, which was unbelievable. It took me a long time to get over that. That you're not allowed, you have a coat in the winter time, you're not allowed to put the wood. We call it in the army the chuku.
Hood.
I know. We use a slang, we used to call it chuku. So you're not allowed to put the chuku on the top of your head. Why? Because maybe enemy or someone come from the back, and you need to watch all the times, all the sides. So I remember we have an officer, he used to come with a big scissor and cut any soldier that was caught with any form. He says, today I'm just going to cut it, next time you're out of this unit. So anyway, the guarding is a very, very serious manner. It's not, I remember sometimes while they transfer us from one place to another, so we need to, I'm sorry for the language, but they used to marry to your gun. You need to basically tight your gun around your body. And the officers used to go around, and if they successfully, while you're sleeping on a bus, pull out your gun, you're in a big trouble. If it's one time, they can start, you can, stuck for like a month. Second time you're out. Third time you're in jail. Anyway, טבעי רבי יוחנן לריש לקיש. This is a Tosefta, Tractate Zvachim, chapter 7. רבי ישמעאל בנו של רבי יוחנן בן ברוקה אומר, לול קטן היה בין כבש למזבח. Here I would like to share with you something from my book, ביאורי כלומר ברש"י על הש"ס, because Rashi here used the word כלומר, and he explained that it was a lul katan. It was a small window that was in the floor of the azara, of the courtyard of the Bet HaMikdash, between the keves and the altar, between that two pieces. So I brought here the book called Rosh Yosef that he explained this Rashi, because Rashi said klomar bekeren zavit. And David, if you can zoom in conclusion of Rashi, I explain what he meant in this word kilomar. This is from my book. You see here what happened? You see this corner? That's the conclusion. When they use the term ben leven, Rashi used the word kilomar to say that it wasn't separate, it wasn't at the corner, it was at this point. That was the point that was this like a hole, like a window. It's called lul. Okay? So, they have this lul between the two. במערבו של כבש, on the west part of this כבש, which means that corner, ששם היו זורקים פסולי חטאת העוף. That place, they used to take whatever left over from the sin offering. So what happened? ותעובר צורתן, which means there is a concept called psul belina, that it's stay overnight, it's an issue. Now what happened is, the moment that it stay overnight, it changed the status. ויוצאים לבית השרפה, and then you have to burn it. אי אמרת בשלמה פסול טומאה. הווי משום הכי באי עיבור צורה. שמא יבוא אליהו ויתארנה. אלא היא אמר פסול הגוף, למה לעיבור צורה? So, if you tell me that you concern of what? Of ritual impurity, so maybe Eliyahu will come and he rendered ritually pure. But if you tell me, as we said, that they say that it's inherited disqualification, then why do I need to leave it until it has decay of form? והתניא, we learn in Tosefta, זה הכלל, that's the principle. 34b, כל שפסולו בגופו יישרף מיד, בדם ובבעלים תעובר צורתם ויוצאים לבית השריפה. If you have an offering that has disqualification in the body of the animal, which means that there has a definite disqualification with regard to a meat itself. So Tosfot in the previous page tells us, he asks, how do you define something that has this disqualification that apply to a meat and not to a blood? And Tosfot said, it's a beautiful explanation, just give you the vignette. He said that make it invalid, because if you throw it to this lul, this window, you have this hesechadat, you have the same process of not focusing. So he said, תעובר ובעלים תעובר צורתן ויוצאים לבית השריפה. So if it's applied to the owner, so you have to, it's form of decay, and taking the place of designated for burning. So what you said here, that it's the opposite of what we said before, that since this sin offering, it's only invalid because it's safek, you're not certain about it, so you cannot burn it until it changed the appearance, it changed the tzura. אמר לי, הייתנה, תנא דבר רבא בר אבוה הוא דאמר, אפילו פיגול טעון עיבור ציורה. This is according to Rabbi Weisblum that said that even pigul is an offering that was invalidated due to an inappropriate intent while being offered. You remember we said that pigul, the Kohen has to be very focused when he does that, and if he has a something else in his mind, it turned that offering to be invalidated because his mind was not there when he does that. So they said that's required decay of form, which means that if you don't have here a regular inheritance of disqualification in the meat of the offering, the Torah said explicitly that the offering should be burned because it's pigul, it's no longer valid. Now think together. This is what he said. Eitivei, נטמע או שנפסל הבשר או שיצא חוץ לקלעים. רבי אליעזר אומר יזרוק, רבי יהושע אומר לא יזרוק. Okay, so here is the process. We have a seder korban. What is a seder korban? Soon Beit HaMikdash will be rebuilt, so the Kohanim has to learn it. Number one, you have the shchita. Okay? Shachat. Kibel, he received it. He take it. Zorak al gabe ha-mizbeach. He sprinkled, put it on the top of the altar. Boom! At the middle of that process, this meat is impure. What's the din? So we said here that the korban yeratzeh. The korban, the offering, is accepted. Even, lechatchila, the way it should be, what's the next step? La mehadrin, the way it should be. You take that meat, if everything went well, and you give it to the Kohanim. So now we said that the Korban himself, since he did all the process, so the Korban himself, it's accepted. Yet, if it was something happened, so the Kohen cannot eat it. Now, here's the next problem. If something happened before he sprinkled the blood, so again, he received it, right? He slaughtered it, and now before the ritual process of sprinkle, something happened. It's invalidated, it's impure, etc. So now you have a disputation between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Eliezer said, even if you don't have the category of meat, you have the category of blood. So therefore, you can go ahead and sprinkle it. Which means, even, you remember what we said about grape? Mm-hmm. And we said that we differentiate between the vessels and something inside. Here we said, since the early part of the process was fine, so now you can go ahead and complete the process by sprinkling the blood. That's Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yoshua said, "Im en basar en dam." If it's no meat, it's no blood. So therefore, to stop the process, the Kohen cannot sprinkle it. Umodeh Rabbi Yoshua agreed to Rabbi Eliezer, she'im zarak hurtza, that b'diavad, if the Kohen went ahead and he sprinkled it anyway, so it is accepted. My nifsal, what does that mean that it's invalid? Lav behesech hadat. You're going to tell me that what happened here, that he wasn't so focusing on what he's doing? I amart bishlama psulei tuma havei, hanu demashkar la demratze tzitz, ele amart psula guf havei, amai hurtza tzitz. The Torah tells us, as we said in the introduction, in the book of Shmot, book of Exodus, chapter 28, pasuk, sentence lamed 38, lamed chet, they say that the tzitz, remember the head of the high priest, meratzeh. So any offering that there, they make it pure by the presence of the name of Hashem and the tzitz. So the Rambam tells us that that's apply over any korban. any circumstance of Korban, even something in the process happened in a wrong way, but since the beginning was good, it's over. Now, here we ask, if it's applied to pigul, if applied that something happened in the thinking, in the process that wasn't right, what we said, so if it's a psul babasar, if it's a issue with the meat, so if he have a sechadat, if he wasn't there, italem min ha'ayin, he wasn't focusing in his eye, etc. So he said that's make it invalid, which means that the tzitz is good for something that it's in a sense pure. In other words, you do the process, use the tzitz, it's over. But if something it's pigul, it's not pure. So if it's a pigul within the korban, within the offering, the tzitz will not help. So he said, so how Reish Lakish reconciled what we said earlier, that it's fine, part of the process. So he said, Mai shenifsal, nifsal bitvul yom. So it became invalid toward the tvul yom. Yache ainu tamet, regav netamet. That's important because you see it many times. There is a concept that's called tameh, impure, and there's a concept that's called pasul, that it's invalid. It's two different things. So let's understand what we said so far, and I follow here Tosfot read. He said as follows: we originally understand that if something became invalid, pasul, it's a pasul for eating only for zarim, for someone who's not a Kohen. Now we concluded in what we said that it's prohibited also to the Kohen, and that's basically follow the Reish Lakish, that he said that that's psul haguf, that happened in a psul haguf. So since we brought this disputation between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish in regard to psul hadat that it happened in the mind, so now we go to the original disputation. Kisalik Ravin Amre Lishmatei de Kamei de Rabbi Yirmiyah ואמר לי בבלי טיפשי משדביית ובערד החשוכה אמרו להם תשמעתים דמחשכן. So here Ravin came from Eretz Israel, from west to Babylon. So he said this statement on behalf of Rabbi Yirmiyah. So he said, you know what, you guys are living in Babylon and you're living in a very deep dark valley. So you're living there, so you're thinking, your mindset, your thinking is like dark. You don't know what you're doing, what you say. So Rashi said in very strong words. And Rashi said, כשאין יודעים טעמו של דבר, when they're not sure about the answer, this Babylon, what did they do? בודים מליבם טעם שאינו. They made up something that it's not real. In other words, they make up some pretext answer. It's not real answers. So it's a very strong language. The Ritva brought from the Rambam that said that you cannot compare the study of Eretz Israel to the study of Babylon. It was an era of a lot of persecution, and as a result people cannot focus on their studies, so the level of study was not the same. Later on, things changed in Babylon, and some say that later their studies was even better than Eretz Israel. But anyway, back to our subject. He said, Lo shmiya lechu, didn't you heard had the Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish mishmed Rabbi Yoshua, what he said, מהחג שנטמעו ישיקן ואחרי קדישן טהורים, יקדישן ואחרי שיקן טמאים. So once a year they have which call ניסוך המים, which means every day when they have a daily offering, תמיד של שחר, a morning offering, so they took the wine and they put it as a nesech on the altar and they sing a song. You heard about the song of the days? The Levi sings? That's what they did. Now, in a festival of Sukkot, they open a special gate. It's called Sha'ar HaMayim, the gate of the water. And in that gate, they went down to Ma'ayan HaShiloach, to a special Shiloach valley, and they brought a fresh spring water, and they ma'alim lamikdash, they brought it up to the Beit HaMikdash, and it was a special vessel. It's called Kli Sharet. That vessel has Kedushat HaGuf, have a sanctity by itself, and they took this water, menaschim mayim al gabei mizbeach. They took that water and they sprinkled around the altar. So it was a special hall for that part of the wine. So now think together with me. What happened on Shabbat? If they have Shabbat, this situation, how they handle that? So if they take a regular daily vessel, you cannot take a kli sharet. You cannot take a sacred vessel. Why? Because it's carry kedushat haguf, carry a sanctity, and pasul belina. You cannot stay it an overnight. So what do? You take this water, you cover them overnight, so it's not touch anything that it's impure, and in the morning you take this kli sharet, and you take this water and you do nisuach hamayim. Now imagine a situation that the next morning you find a creeping animal, small creeping animal in that water. So what do? That is Shabbat now. You cannot go back to the shiloach water. So what do? So it was a galgal, it was a special wheel, it's called buchni. And they make a lot of noise. So that's considering in a walk. So what they do, it's called hashata vezri'ah. They're taking a special vessel and they make a piyadaka, they make like a small opening in that vessel, and they put that vessel inside the mikveh mayim, inside the purified mikveh, and the minutes that the water touch this piyad, this open, everything, all this water become pure. So that's what we said here. Mei hachag shenitmeu, if you have a chag, the water, what chag by the way? Chag what?
Sukkot.
Sukkot, beautiful. That if that water become impure, if he shikan, ואחר כך הקדישן טהורים. So if he do what? He first of all purify them, he contact them with ritual bath of pure water, and then he consecrated them. So it means first he purified them and then he consecrated them. So he said it's fine. But if first, what did he do? He took that water and he consecrated them, and then he put it in the mikveh. Now you have a problem. Why? Because originally, since that water become ritually impure, it's over, right? So they said, wait a second. Think together. What we said originally, that they have zri'ah, the same as planting something, planting the seed. Since you took it and put it in the mikveh, so what's the difference in the order of the event? If you tell me that the mikveh purified it, Mali shikan v'achar כך יקדישן, Mali יקדישן v'achar כך ישיקן. What's the difference if he consecrated it before he purified or after he purified? The moment that it's purified is over. So now we need to reinforce what we said in the introduction about ma'ala asu b'kodashim. What happened in the consecrated? When we have a chulin, or we have a kodashim, so that if you touch the water, the mikveh, it's purified those entities. So if it was a water that was ritually impure, and you put it in the mikveh, so it's pure. However, still, if when it's come to Beit HaMikdash, you cannot use it. Why? Because think if you have let's say you're buying a beautiful suit and tie, and you use it only one time. You bring it to a dry cleaners, and now it looks like fresh, brand new. Can you give it to the president or the king? No. Why is that? It looks fresh, it's look brand new, it's look beautiful. Why you cannot do that? Because there's certain decorum, certain honor that when you apply to the president, to the king, to that level of a person, you do not do that. You do not do even something that's perfectly look brand new. You cannot do that. It's already second hand. Even use it one time. So this, if you take this leather and you purified it by what? By replanting it in the ground. Yet, as far as the kedusha in Beit HaMikdash, you cannot use it for truma. Why? Because it's called Ma'ala asu bekodashim. They make it in such a highest level of sanctity that the moment even once it's not pure, it's over. So now we said Alma. So what do we derive from that? En zri'a lehegdesh. Achename en zri'a letruma. The same is applied, you juxtapose the two. The same as a consecrated item, the same apply to the truma. יתיב רבי מבקר, אמר להשמטה, אמר לאביי, הקדישן בכלי כאמר, אבל בפה לא עבוד רבנן מעלה, עודימה בפה נמי עבוד רבנן מעלה. So there are two different kedusha. One kedusha is called kedusha damim, and another kedusha is called kedusha taguf. So excluding the korban, excluding the offering, if a person said, this is going to be ola, this is going to be chatat. So if you have oil or a wine, so it carry kedusha mammonit, you have a monetary sanctity. But here when you have a kli sharet make it a sacred. So what we said ma'ala asu bekodashim, when it's come to a sanctification, that we ask a question here, if kedusha taguf, it's purified or not. So again, as I said earlier, my father, God bless him, in his book Sugyot Bekodashim, he have a long mahalach, a long explanation of this sugya. Amar li, so Rav Dimi tried to reconcile, and he said, Zolo shamati, af kayotze ba shamati. אמר רבי אבא, אמר רבי יוחנן הנביאים, שנטמאו דרחן ואחר כך הקדישן טהורים, הקדישן ואחר כך דרחן טמאים. You remember yesterday when we dealt with mifkat pekidei? What we said about the grape. The grape has kedusha damim, but it doesn't have the kedusha, the sanctity of the altar. Why? Because anything has to be designate kedushat hamizbeach. So you cannot put it on the top of the mizbeach. So let's say if you have a grape and a person sanctified them, and then he step on them, dracham. So you ask a question, what happened to kedusha damim? So he said, when it's come to the truma, it's only kedushat peh. So he said, Anavim ve'anavim kedushat peninu afilu ach yavud rabanan ma'ala. So remember, we said at mifkat pkidu, we separate between the vessel and the liquid. Amar Rav Yosef, Anavim kamar, hachabar, Anavim shel truma askinan. So you spoke of grapes, we're dealing with the grape of truma. Why? The kedushat pedidu ki kedushat klidami. That the consecration to speech is comparable to consecrated on the vessel. Aval hani debai kli bapelu abud rabanan. But those that require a sacred vessel, the sage did not impose a higher standard through a speech. Drachan. So if one treat upon them, which means that's the way the process do it. Vafilu tuva. Even if he press many grapes at once. Umi amar Rabbi Yochanan hachi. Is that what Rabbi Yochanan said? Rabbi Yochanan anavim shnitmu dorchan pachot mikabetza. He said that if you step on those ritual impure grape, you have to do it in less than an egg bark at a time, each one in a separate way. Ibai teima הכנה מפחות מקבצה, ובית המה הדם נגעו בראשון, דאבו לעינו שני, הכנה נגעו בשני ועבו לשלישי. So you have a different category explained many times. That's apply only if they have the second degree of ritual impurity that's become impure to the third degree of the ritual impurity. אמרה באפננה מתנינה ונתן לה מים חיים אל כלי. The Torah said that you need to sprinkle in book of במדבר 19 said, and he shall put flowing water into a vessel, שתהא חיותן בכלי, which means that it shall flow directly to the vessel. So he said, ונתן על מקלושינינו ועל מחוברינינו. When he said that you shall put, apparently the water is detached, but it is clearly attached to the spring. So they said, Ela ma'ala, ma'ala hachenami. So you have to say that this is a higher standard. So here too, they said you should establish a higher standard for consecrated items. רב שימי ברש"י אבנן תמינה טבל בלה אוכל במעשר, ריב שמשו אוכל בתרומה, בתרומה אין בקודשים לא, המים טהרו אלא מעלה אכן ממעלה. So he said again, someone was immersed, coming out, so he can eat in מעשר, cannot, but if it's overnight he can eat in truma. So he asked why in truma and not kodashim. So he said the same way that we put a high standard for ritual purity of consecrated liquid. אומר רב אשי אבנן תמים ואב הבשר לרבות העצים ולבונה. So they ask, "Etzimu levona bnei itmuninu el ha'ma'ala achana mema'ala." So the same way, we juxtapose the two, that you need to have a higher standard of ritual purity for consecrated living. So the first one is the Kesef Mishnah on the Rambam, Hilchot Tumot, chapter 11. He said, even though produce that grows from impure truma is pure, it is still prohibited to eat the truma. We explained that in the level of truma we hold it, the sages decree that produce that grows from truma must be treated as though they are truma, because we hold it in the highest level of ritual impurity. We talk about gidulei tevel. This is the Rambam, Hilchot Masor, chapter 6. If one plants untied product with seed disintegrated to a plant, the produce is permitted. However, if one plant species whose seed does not, which means that you have, for example, onion, that the produce remain grows, so it's prohibited. We also talk about different psul begufo. If this is Rambam, Hilchot Korban Pesach, chapter 4, any offering that has disqualification in the body of the offering must be burned immediately. However, if it's disqualification in its blood or due to its owner, it must be left overnight. That's called lina, and it's from decay, from being burned. We talk about Me'achag, that's Hilchot Isurei Mizbeach, chapter 6 in the Rambam. If water collected for use in the water libation of the altar become ritually impure, so it's brought into the contact with ritual bath. So again, we need to go the whole process. And the last one, we talk about Tvul Yom Betruma. One who immerses himself during the day may not eat truma until the sun set. That's called Tvul Yom. And again, that's Rambam Hilchot Trumot, chapter 7.